So, hello everyone. I hope you're well and enjoying the eSinger Cup 2020 lineup of activities and segments so far. My name is Nathasha and I'll be your moderator for this segment called The Rule Enforcers from Asia and Europe, where I speak to 3 FIFA-listed referees who will be sharing their stories with us. So without further ado, I'll introduce my 3 speakers for tonight. First up, we have Mads-Kristoffer Kristoffersen, who is Danish and has been FIFA listed since 2012. Mads has been a referee in the Danish Superliga since 2011, and his career has also seen him undertake referee assignments in Europe, including the Europa League, UEFA Champions League qualifications, and World Cup qualifications. Next, we have Kate Jacewicz, who is Australian and FIFA listed since 2011. She has been appointed to referee in 9 out of the first 11 seasons of the W Grand Finals. Kate has also become the first female referee to referee in the Australian A-League and was selected as one of the 27 referees for the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. Also winning the AFF Referee of the Year award in that same year. Last but not least, we have Beath, who is Australian and FIFA listed since 2011. He recently officiated in the 2020 Hyundai A-League Grand Final and has taken charge of at least 195 A-League matches since 2008. Chris was also part of the VAR referees team at the 2019 AFC Asian Cup Final and the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being a part of this. How are you feeling?
Yeah, really well, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Great. Yeah. How about the rest of you? How are you guys feeling tonight?
Also doing good. So glad to be part of it, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for being part of this.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Okay, so is everyone ready for some questions? Shall we just dive straight into it? All good? Let's go. Okay, so the first question is going to be a group question. I will be opening this question up to the 3 of you, so feel free to jump in. The first question is, how did you train to be a professional referee? And was there a structured and open pathway to be a professional referee in your country? Maybe to start off, let's start with Kate.
Well, firstly, I can't say that I am a professional referee, but I am certainly, obviously I'm a paid referee, an international referee, but as a female in my country, I'm not a professional referee per se. In terms of a structured open pathway to get to an elite level, Chris and I very similarly followed the same pathway, and that's coming up through junior football, going to youth national tournaments, and then getting on the national leagues, respectively, and then getting FIFA nominations. So I guess there is a structure coming through from junior football all the way up to an elite level. But then obviously Chris and my pathways differ slightly when it comes to professional. So I can handball that now to Chris.
Yeah, sure. So I'm happy to jump in. So I think that, as Kate mentioned, that we're fortunate that nowadays there is a very clear structure and pathway in place for referees, certainly in Australia, to reach the top level. As Kate mentioned, I'm fortunate to be one of a handful of professional referees in Australia, and that pathway has become clearer and clearer over the past few years as the full-time refereeing program has developed. And as Kate mentioned as well, the pathway and structure has improved, and it's very similar to what the players go through nowadays in terms of focusing a lot of attention on our physical preparation, our tactical, technical, mental preparation to ensure that we can perform at the elite level.
Cool. How about Mads, for yourself?
Yeah, I've been a professional referee since 2015, but in Denmark it's only we are 10 out of 14 in the top league who's actually part-time and professional referees. And as Chris mentioned, in Denmark for the last 2, 3, 4 years, we've been working a lot with the talent sector. So we have this talent level. So hopefully in five years, you will also see a lot more referees being a professional. So hopefully we'll see. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, everyone. I'm pretty sure some of our viewers here are aspiring referees as well, so this would definitely help them. So moving on, I'll pose my first question to Kate. You were the first female referee to officiate in the A-League, which is Australia's highest level of professional men's league. Take us through what your ambitions were for yourself when you first started refereeing, and what they are now, if they've changed along the way.
Sure. So when I first started refereeing, I was still playing. I actually had no clear ambition or understanding or knowledge of where refereeing could take me. I essentially started refereeing for pocket money and for pure love of the game. And my first passion was actually playing. But then as I started to move through the junior levels, mentors and coaches started explaining to me that there was a pathway other than playing, and that was, I could travel the world essentially. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time until, fast forward 10 years going through my career essentially, and I get my FIFA badge. And even when I became international, I didn't really understand what that meant in terms of I can travel the world and see the world and experience different cultures through football. So yeah, certainly my ambitions changed through my career, and now gaining that understanding, that experience. Fast forward again another 10 years, and I become the first female to referee on a men's professional league in Australia. And my ambition for that was to do the best I could. And that was to put my best foot forward. And through all the years of experience, knowing that I had worked my entire career for that movement, and to show others what can be done through hard work, dedication, longevity to a career and a trade, and just to show what can be achieved from that, no matter how long the journey is. Now, what I foresee for the next 5 or 10 years, my aim is another World Cup cycle. And again, my goal is another season on the Hyundai A-League if I'm good enough. So, yeah, I don't look too far past the next cycle, but certainly changes.
Well, congratulations on that. I think that certainly kind of sets the path for a lot of aspiring female referees, especially, maybe even in Australia. So I think what you've given them is a bit of hope that hopefully with the journey they take, they can see themselves on a professional league, regardless if it's for the women's league or the men's league. So thank you for sharing on that. I have a next question for Mads. This one is going to be a little tricky for you. Okay, so it's not very technical, but I really want to know what you think about this. If you had the power, what rules would you change to the game of football? For example, we have the card system, the yellow and the red card. Would you be in favor of an automatic sin bin for a yellow card of, say, 15 minutes, similar to what they do in rugby? Would you be in favor of taking that and placing that in the game of football, or would you change it in another way?
Actually, we have it already in Denmark in the grassroots. Up till I think the 4th highest league in Denmark, when you get a yellow card, you will be out for 10 minutes. We've been speaking about changing it in Denmark to also put it in the top league, but so far we're not going to do it. But actually, I think it's going to be a good way to manage the game and manage the players if we have the 10 minutes. But of course, then again, we have all the technical issues, because then the coaches, the spectators, the television will be standing with the watch. Oh, he was out for 10 minutes, 10 seconds. He was out for 10 minutes, 15 seconds, or maybe 11 minutes. But it could be a way to manage the game in another way. But if you ask me if I want to change one rule, that would be for sure the rule of handball, because all over the world we have different opinions about when is it a handball and when it's deliberate and when it's not, and when it should be punishable. So that would be the rule right now. I would like to change to make it more equal all over the world, but it's going to be difficult for sure.
by changing the rule of handball, do you mean like completely removing the rule, or do you mean changing it to be more specific to the part of the hand, or whether when it's an official handball? Do you want to remove the rule totally or change up the technicalities of the rule?
No, I don't want to remove the rule, but I want to make it more simple, because today you have so many understandings about is this a punishable handball? Is it not? And we know from UEFA, when we watch clips, when we just see it in Denmark, we will have maybe 2-3 different opinions about it. So it takes a lot of time to make it more consistent. So it will be easy to make it more simple, for sure. It will, yeah.
Understand. Fair enough. So let's go to Chris, right? Next. I have a really interesting question for you. There has been a lot of controversy about VAR decisions. Do you think the VAR actually makes the referee's job easier or more difficult? And in your opinion, are there improvements that can be made to the system of the VAR and how it's implemented?
Yep, you're right. That is an interesting question. So thank you for that one. I think that VAR does make a referee's job somewhat easier, in that we're able to review an incident that we may not have seen clearly. And football is played at such a fast pace nowadays that having that additional tool is a good thing. I think that it does make football cleaner, and it won't ever stop the debate after the game. But I think as another tool in the referee's toolkit, the VAR is a good thing overall. And I think we've seen that with some of the statistics at some of the bigger tournaments, the increase in the accuracy rates. That's a good thing for football. You're right that it is sometimes a very controversial topic. And I think that there are improvements, and there will always be improvements with something that involves humans and technology. I think that the big aspects for improvement at the moment are around speed, so the time that it takes for the VAR to obtain the right footage and to work with the referee team to come up with the right outcome. And I think also the communication piece, so to be able to communicate some of those decisions with broadcast and with the public. And I understand those aspects of VAR are currently being trialled and worked on to enhance the entertainment piece and to enhance the spectacle that is football.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. I think just coming off the VAR question, right? Same for you, Chris, as well. Sometimes there are things that happen on the field that isn't visible to audiences at home or even at the stadium, right? So what is the funniest thing you've seen on the pitch while refereeing a game?
Another good question. The funniest thing, probably the funniest thing most recently, coming from Australia, with lots of wildlife down here at a grassroots game that I went out to see, I actually saw a kangaroo hop across the field during the game. So that's probably a pretty funny story that's happened most recently. Okay,
and we've seen situations where fans run into the field and security gets them off. So did anyone do anything about a kangaroo? No?
This is at the grassroots level, so they just let the kangaroo go and the game continued.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to ask a second question. This second group question, this is open to all, so feel free to jump in anytime. Many footballers are superstitious. As referees, do you have any pre-match rituals that maybe the audiences at home or fans at the stadium we don't really know about? We've seen it from the players, but we rarely see it from the referees. So do you have anything like that? Let's start with Mads, if possible.
Oh, yeah. I have always two things I always do before I go out to the match. Always put the cards in the same pocket in the same way, because it's just one of the things making me ready for the match. And the other one is, as players always listen to music every time I go out on an international match. we always listen to the same music just before kickoff. So two small things, but for me, it's good because it's part of the mental preparation. Yeah.
Okay, quick question on that. Is your music slow, or is it like hard rock, pop, R&B?
No, it's actually two songs we listen to. One of them is a Danish group called Beath. I don't know if you know them around. And the other one is from Scotland named Runrig. So Beath is rock and roll, and Runrig is more slow down music. So yeah.
Interesting. So this is good information for all our viewers out there. So if you need a pre-match song or ritual, those are the songs to listen to. How about yourself, Kate?
Well, number one, I don't think I go to a game without a freshly made coffee. And no matter where I am in the world, I will probably make my coffee unless I'm in a destination that makes very good coffee. And the second is very similar to Mads, is the music. However, it's not really much a ritual or superstition, but certainly when I'm nervous, to calm some nerves, because we're all mic'd up, I sometimes think that I'm in a boy band or something. So then I start, a chorus with my team. And as we're checking the players' equipment in the tunnel, I started singing a song, and then my fourth official came out with backing vocals, and we kind of had all of us started then walking out to "Oh Happy Days."
Okay.
Yeah, this is a team from, I think, Japan and India and Australia, so it was quite uniting.
Oh, that was nice. That's nice. How about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, similar to Mads and Kate, definitely music before the match, and more chilled out music for me. I like to be pretty relaxed before the game. And the other one, before I actually go to the stadium, I make sure that I always talk to my wife and children. That's a good calmer for me as well. Nice and relaxed.
Great sharing, guys. Thank you so much. Kate, for yourself, I think I have a similar experience with my teammates. We play football in an amateur league here as well. So we always have this one song that we start singing before the game to hype us all up. I'm not sure why, but it's the song, I can't remember who it's by, but it's "I Hate Myself for Loving You." And I don't know why we always sing that song before every game, but it kind of pumps us up before every game. So I completely appreciate your sharing on the referees with the mics. That was interesting. Okay, moving on, I have a question for you, Kate. This one could be a bit serious. So how important do you think, or do you feel it is for professional players to set the standard on behavior towards referees and act as role models for the younger generation and amateur players alike? I mean, on TV, we've seen a lot of things. As viewers at home, we've seen a lot of situations where players can sometimes be a bit aggressive towards referees, be it physical or verbally. So how important it is to you for players to be able to set a standard of behavior towards referees to maintain that respect, and for other players to follow through as well?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I feel it's significantly important because, I mean, these are the professional highest elite players in the world. They're on the world stage. They've got like the world watching them. And I feel that there's sort of a social responsibility that these players have. And they are role models, and people look up to them whichever way. And I guess they're the game's spokespeople or representatives. And I don't think that they're above the law, and I certainly don't think they're above the spirit of the game or the spirit of football that the laws of the game kind of speaks about. And I think they kind of owe it to the game as well, because who would they be without that game? So yeah, certainly around the world they are looked at and seen to they reflect the game, the cultural norms. And I had this debate with another referee colleague actually, and she said, well, just look at the cultural differences between Japan and the game in Japan versus the game in Brazil. You've got a lot more simulation versus Japan, where you basically have players apologizing for certain things in a match, and there's massive cultural differences. And she said it's a good thing, but also at the same time, I also feel like it does come back to the spirit of the game, and it should be played in fairness. And yes, we all want to win, but we don't want to win at a cost of, our integrity or the honesty or the honesty of how beautiful this game is, if that makes sense. So I don't think competition or any amount of money should outweigh the game being played in a fair and equitable and sportsmanlike manner.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think for myself, I'd like to add on that regardless of the league and the country, everyone who's playing the game has to carry out the spirit of the game, whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, whether you're a referee, whether you're the ball boy at the side, whether you're fans, right? Everyone has to maintain that same level of respect for the game and to treat each person as equal, despite it being a competition, because we're all here in the name of football, and competition shouldn't get in the way of that. So thank you so much for sharing. Chris and Mads, if you have anything to add on, would you like to add on that?
I would agree with what Kate has said, that the players at the top end of the game absolutely have a role to play to set the standard for our younger and emerging players and players at the grassroots and community level. And I think that Kate nailed it, that they are absolutely role models for our game.
Thank you, Chris. How about yourself, Matt?
Yeah, I totally agree. If especially we see it in the top league in Denmark, if we as a referee don't take control and are consistent, when we come down and have a grassroots game, they'll say, hey, the guys in the top league are allowed to do it and we are not allowed. So for sure, we are role models. Very important that we remember as referee, our main duty is, of course, to protect the players, but also to protect the image of the game, and of course to protect refereeing all over. Doesn't matter which game it is, you have to be consistent for sure.
Great, thanks everyone. I think the viewers can definitely take something away from this. I have, I think, 2 more questions for you, so hang in there. This is this is for Matt actually. Sorry, I have 3 questions actually. So this one's for Matt. Your experience saw you officiate in many different leagues in Europe, including the World Cup qualifications. What has been the toughest match of your career so far and why?
Actually, it was here in, let me see, when did we end in Denmark? It was in July. We had a new tournament structure. So I had the match for relegation. We knew that the club losing the game would be relegated. And it was a very tough match. Actually, in the end, we ended up with 3 direct red cards. So for me, it was a very tough match, even with my 2 assistants I used to work with out in Europe, because you could really feel the special atmosphere. You knew the team who was losing was going to go out. And in Denmark, when you go out, it means that you, of course, lose money. And when you lose money in Denmark as a club, sometimes you need to go out and fire someone in the club because you don't have the economy to have them employed. So it was a very tough match, especially in the end. A lot of free kicks, a lot of management needed to be done. And in the end, with the 3 red cards, we had to be consistent. So
I'm sure that must have been tough. I mean, it's one thing to want to win a game, to win a competition, but it's another thing to want to win a game to stay in the league. And I think that must have been really tough for you as well. How about Chris, for yourself? Do you have a match that has been the toughest of your career?
Yeah, I think so. A few years ago now, when Brazil and Argentina played at the MCG here in Australia. And that was a tough game at the time, as I look back on it, because it was officiating teams with a completely different style of football. So I think if I refereed that game now, it would be a different story. But at the time, it was a totally different style of football with different players, different tactics, different technical ability, and it was a real eye-opener to teams at the absolute top of their game, in front of a big crowd as well, in front of almost 100,000 people. So that was a really tough experience. But also looking back with those two teams, it was one of the best experiences as well.
Cool. So I think I've asked about the toughest match of your careers. So what about the best moments, like the best match of your careers? Maybe Kate, you want to start with this?
Yeah, I don't think I can go past my first match at the World Cup. And I think probably what comes along with that, and that is a moment in your career that you realize that, you finally got there. And I got to do it with a friend of mine who is also Australian, and we've come up through the youth ranks. We got to do that together, be on the first match together, and I was with a completely new team as well at the World Cup, so that had another level on top of that. But yeah, walking out to the first game of the World Cup with the crowd and everything around you, and then blowing the final whistle, and the relief that you have being like, I did it. Like it just washes away from you, just knowing that, okay, as much as that was awesome, thank God I didn't do anything wrong. And just the relief at the end of it going, yeah, I don't think I can go past that.
Well, Kate, I think you're inspiring a lot of our viewers right now. You're making me wish I did something a little different in my career right now, but that's okay because I'm here speaking to you. So, Matt, how about yourself? What's your career highlight?
I think it's difficult to say that this match was the highlight because for me, I have different steps. Of course, the first match you ever had as a referee was a highlight. The first match in the top league was a highlight. The first international match was a highlight. But if I look back and should choose one match, that would be the cup final in Denmark. That was one of the big matches when I look back on my career when I will end, because normally in Denmark you only have the cup final once. But of course, in international, the first group match I had in Europa League in Villarreal was also a big experience because my first assistant, it was his last match, ending after many years as a FIFA guy. I had been traveling all over the world, so it was also a special match. But every match, in a way, have their own thing to remember. But especially the first international match was a big experience for me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Let's just do one final question since we're looking at a bit of time, having a little bit of time left. What advice would all of you give to any young aspiring referees, especially our viewers at Singer Cup who are watching this right now? If you have any advice for them, that would really be great. So Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So a really good question. Advice to young referees. Firstly, I'd say to enjoy the journey. First and foremost, that football is supposed to be fun. So that would be my number one, to enjoy the journey. And secondly would be to make sure that you share your experiences. So sharing the good experiences and also maybe the not so good experiences as well. Every referee has more than likely been there and done that. So I think it's important that, surrounding yourself with the right people and sharing what you're going through is really important.
Cool. Kate, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to tack on to Chris's advice, but expand on it. That your refereeing career is a journey. So don't expect to be a World Cup referee in your first year of football. But embrace the journey, embrace the learnings that you're going to make along the way, that mistakes will come and it's inevitable. I make mistakes. and Mads and Chris, I'm sure they're going to put up their hand and say they do too. We are not immune from mistakes, and they're nothing to fear. It's just part of the collective journey of becoming the referee. I wouldn't have been the referee that I was at the World Cup if I hadn't made all the mistakes prior. And I'm grateful for those opportunities and the learnings that I took away from that, because that got me to where I am today. So, yeah, embrace the journey and enjoy it along the way. Yes, you're going to feel like rubbish some days and you're going to want to throw it away. But I can tell you at the end of it all, after everything, it is worth it. It is absolutely worth it.
Well, thank you so much, Kate, for that. Matt, how about yourself?
As Kate said, we all make mistakes. And as I always say to the young referees in Denmark, good referees make mistakes, but the great ones learn from it and improve all the time. And as Chris said earlier, it's a question about enjoying it. And especially when you reach the top level, think about the guys you meet on the way to the top. It's also the guys you will meet on the way down. So be yourself. Don't be like someone else. Don't go like Kate said, that I want to be in the World Cup after 1 year. Take it step by step, enjoy it, and then you will also succeed for sure.
Very well said. Thank you, all three of you. I think what we got out of this is to embrace the journey, embrace the mistakes, embrace the highs and lows, and to not give up on the journey and to remember why you started. So I think we've had a round of very interesting stories and sharings from all three of you. And I'd like to thank you all so much for being a part of the Singa Cup segment with us. And I hope to see you in the future for future Singa Cup events, hopefully. And yeah, thank you once again.
Thanks so much.